Are you over 60? Do you take something for back pain, knee pain, arthritis, or maybe just the occasional headache? Then what you're about to hear might surprise you because one of the most common painkillers in America could be quietly raising your blood pressure without you even realizing it. And here's the scary part. Most people never connect the two. They see their blood pressure creeping higher month after month, year after year, and they blame age. They blame stress. They blame salt, but they never suspect the small bottle sitting in their medicine cabinet, a bottle they've trusted for years, a bottle they can buy without a prescription, a bottle that seems completely harmless. Yet for some adults over 60, that common painkiller may be working against their heart every single day. And if you're taking it regularly, this information could be one of the most important things you hear today. Let's talk about someone we'll call Mr. Johnson. He's 72 years old, retired, active, and like many people his age, he paid close attention to his blood pressure. For years, everything seemed under control. He took his medication as prescribed. He watched what he ate. He stayed active, and his numbers were stable. Then something changed. Not overnight, but slowly. At first, his blood pressure was 150/90, higher than usual, but not alarming. A few weeks later, 160/95. Then 170/100. His doctor was concerned, so they adjusted his blood pressure medication. They increased the dose and waited, but the numbers didn't improve. In fact, they kept climbing. Mr. Johnson was confused. Nothing in his routine had changed. He wasn't eating more salt. He hadn't gained weight. He wasn't under unusual stress. And he hadn't stopped taking any of his medications. So what was happening? Why was his blood pressure suddenly becoming harder to control? His doctor started asking questions. The usual questions about diet, exercise, sleep, alcohol, stress. Everything seemed normal. Then the doctor asked one simple question. A question Mr. Johnson almost didn't mention. Have you been taking anything for pain lately? Mr. Johnson thought for a moment. Then he shrugged. Just a few pills for my knee. Nothing serious. Nothing unusual. Just something he picked up at the pharmacy. Something millions of Americans use every day. Something he believed was completely safe. And that's when the doctor found the clue that may have been hiding in plain sight all along. The doctor asked a few more questions. What exactly were you taking for your knee? Mr. Johnson replied, Oh, just some pain pills. Nothing prescription. Nothing unusual. Just something he could buy at any pharmacy. Something millions of people keep in their medicine cabinets. And that's when the doctor took a closer look. The medication was ibuprofen, a pain reliever found in products like Advil and Motrin. Another common one is naproxen, found in Aleve. You may even have one of these in your home right now. In fact, they're among the most commonly used pain medications in America. People take them for back pain, knee pain, arthritis, shoulder pain, headaches, and because they're sold over the counter, many people assume they're harmless. After all, if you don't need a prescription, how dangerous could they be? But that's where many people get caught off guard, because over the counter doesn't always mean risk-free, especially after age 60. You see, these medications belong to a group called NSAIDs. That stands for non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. And while they can be very effective for pain, they may also affect something else, your blood pressure. For some people, the effect is small. For others, especially older adults, the impact can be much more significant. And to understand why, we need to look at what happens inside the body, because the connection is actually much simpler than most people realize. Understand, imagine for a moment that your blood vessels are like a garden hose. When everything is working normally, Water flows through the hose at a comfortable pressure. Not too little, not too much, just enough. Now imagine someone starts pumping extra water into that same hose, but the hose itself doesn't get any bigger. What happens? The pressure rises. And the more water you force through, the greater that pressure becomes. Your blood vessels work in a very similar way. Your heart pumps blood through a network of arteries and veins every second of every day. Normally, your kidneys help maintain balance. They remove excess salt. They remove excess fluid. And they help keep blood pressure under control. But certain pain medications can interfere with that process. As a result, the body may start holding on to more salt and more water. That extra fluid has to go somewhere, so it stays inside the bloodstream. Now imagine adding more and more water into that same garden hose. The pressure starts building slowly, quietly, often without any warning signs. And that's exactly what can happen inside your blood vessels. More fluid, more pressure, higher blood pressure readings. And here's the part that surprises many people. It can happen even when you feel completely normal. No pain, no dizziness, no obvious symptoms. Just numbers on a blood pressure monitor, gradually moving higher and higher. Which brings us to the most dangerous part of this entire story. Before we continue, I'd like to ask you something. Have you ever taken ibuprofen, naproxen, Elvil, or Aleve? If you have, type the word pain in the comments below. I'm curious to see how many people watching today use these medications regularly. And now, let's talk about the most dangerous part of this story. Here's what makes this issue so concerning. Most people never feel it happening. Think about that for a moment. If your blood sugar drops, you may feel weak. If you have the flu, you feel sick. If you injure your knee, you feel pain. But rising blood pressure often works differently. It can climb slowly, quietly, silently, without any obvious warning signs. You might wake up feeling perfectly normal. Go for a walk. Meet friends for lunch. Watch television. Enjoy your day. And all the while, your blood pressure may be moving higher and higher. Inside your body, your heart is working harder. Your blood vessels are under more stress. Your kidneys are under greater pressure. Yet you feel absolutely nothing. That's why high blood pressure is often called the silent killer. And for many older adults, the warning doesn't come until something serious happens. A stroke, a heart attack, a kidney problem. Now, that's not meant to scare you, but it is meant to remind you that symptoms are not always the best indicator, because sometimes you can feel completely fine while your blood pressure is quietly climbing in the background. And that's exactly why so many people miss the connection. They never suspect the pain medication because the medication helps them feel better, while at the same time, it may be creating a problem they cannot feel, which raises an important question. Why are older adults affected more than younger people? The answer comes down to how the body changes with age. When we're younger, our bodies are often more resilient. The kidneys tend to work more efficiently. Blood vessels are more flexible. The heart adapts more easily to changes. But after age 60, things gradually begin to change. Arteries become stiffer. The kidneys may not filter as efficiently as they once did. The cardiovascular system has less room for error. Imagine two people taking the exact same pain medication. One person is 35 years old. The other is 72. The younger person's body may handle the extra stress with little difficulty, but the older person's body may respond very differently. The same medication, the same dose, but a much larger impact. It's a little like driving a brand new car versus driving a car that's been on the road for decades. Both vehicles can still run, but one has less tolerance for additional strain. And that's why adults over 60 need to pay closer attention to every medication they take. Even medications that seem completely routine, even medications they've been using for years. Because age changes the rules, and understanding that fact may help you protect your heart for years to come. Now, here's the most important takeaway from today's video. This is not about fear, and it's not about avoiding every pain medication. Many of these medications can be helpful, and for some people, they may be entirely appropriate. The lesson is something much simpler. Pay attention to the full picture. If your blood pressure suddenly becomes harder to control, don't assume aging is the only reason. Don't assume stress is the only reason. And don't assume your blood pressure medication has stopped working. Sometimes the real answer is hiding somewhere else. Perhaps in a medication you take regularly. Perhaps in something you bought over the counter. Perhaps in a product you never considered important enough to mention. That's why it's always worth reviewing everything you're taking. Prescription medications, pain relievers, supplements, vitamins, everything. Because sometimes the problem isn't the treatment you're using for blood pressure. It's something else quietly working against it. And once you identify that hidden factor, everything starts to make much more sense. Let's quickly recap. A common pain reliever, a medication used by millions of people, a medication many consider completely harmless, may sometimes contribute to higher blood pressure, especially in adults over 60. Not everyone will experience this effect, but it's important to know that the possibility exists, because awareness is the first step toward making informed decisions. Tonight, take a look inside your medicine cabinet. Think about the medications you use regularly and ask yourself, could one of them be affecting my blood pressure? That simple question might lead to a conversation worth having with your healthcare provider. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel. We're uncovering hidden blood pressure triggers, health myths, and important health information every adult over 60 should know. And before you go, let me know in the comments, how often do you take pain medication each week? Every day? A few times a week? Or only when absolutely necessary? I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching. Stay healthy. And I'll see you in the next video.